So, how you doing?
Good. It's been a long time. Sorry for my absence here. It's been like forever, I think, since I've joined.
No, it's fine. And this is wonderful. This background. Look at those good vibes. This is pretty. I've actually seen some of this on your Instagram stories.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've I think kind of teased like a little bit of the setup here. Yeah, so I moved to a new place back in the end of October.
All right.
Kind of been getting like settled into it the past couple months here, slowly building up the space. The next addition you're gonna have actually is gonna be a cat tower just off to my right
Classic.
shoulder here. I'm getting two cats this week,
Oh
so
my gosh.
should be
Nice.
fun.
Really settling in.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So,
total coziness.
I have to ask you one question. How does it feel
Yeah.
to share the same name as a very particular space telescope?
I know. Oh my gosh, that was stressful as well too. That was kind of like one thing that was pulling like a lot of my energy the past couple weeks here. Yeah, we're so happy that that went off successfully. I mean, there were so many single points of failure there. It was just like kind of
Yeah.
terrifying the entire time watching it. And then, the fact that it went off on Christmas morning too was pretty special as well. It was really awesome
Yeah.
to have that go off. And now it's reached its destination. So in the next couple months, we should have some images,
Yeah.
which is gonna be insane.
Hi, Kev. All right. We were just talking about the James Webb Space Telescope.
Ah, that thing.
Yeah, so you know what? I was really interested in finding out that it takes so long to cool down before they start taking
Yeah,
pictures. Yeah, I had no idea
Yep.
about that. I just thought, well, it'd just be cool within a day, but like, nope, 100 days or something, isn't it?
yeah, and the temperature difference is so insane from one side to the other as well. Just to really get it almost to like absolute zero. To look at the background, it's insane.
Yeah, that's one thing like
Yeah.
you don't really think about because like when you have like the full power of the sun, like just from a vacuum, like the radiation is quite intense. But yeah, I don't know, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
fantastic seeing pictures come through. I
Yeah,
I was in Florida
It's
when
a
it
marvel.
launched. Yeah.
oh, were you actually?
Well, what I did, yeah, because I was in Florida for like the last couple of weeks, like for Christmas and New Year, like the last couple of weeks of the year. And I remember because
Okay.
I got up and I was watching it, and I called like my mum over because I had like a little computer there. I was like, yeah, like they're finally doing it. It's been years. It's been so many years. Just hope it doesn't like blow up.
I
I
know.
know.
We were nail biting
Yeah.
Yeah,
watching that thing.
it was insane. I just like it was funny watching the launch team as well. So like I'm not sure if you watched the live stream for it. I imagine you did, but you have the team there in Carew and French Guiana.
Yeah.
And as soon as it hit its last booster off and it was like on its own, you could just see the relief on the launch team because their part of the job is done. It's like if it messes up now, it's not their fault anymore. It's like whoever is on the engineering team for the spacecraft itself. So it's kind of funny just like watching everyone just like, oh my gosh, like different stages of relief as it kind of goes along.
Yeah, it was really interesting watching like the kind of launch sequence and how like so much of it was in French as well because like
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
usually see that with the launches. But yeah, like interesting and like they were so excited afterwards and everyone was like shouting. They were like, what were they saying? Go Webb or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a big
Yeah.
ESA role in there. Yes, I mean it launched, from an ESA facility on the Ariane 5 rocket there. Yeah, so it was interesting. Like pretty much everyone in that mission control room was French speaking. It was interesting to kind of hear the
yeah,
commands being called out in French.
yeah.
Were you
Really
down there?
cool.
I didn't get down there for this one, but actually a couple weeks before I was in Florida, actually probably close to where you were, Curtis, for a different launch of one of our spacecrafts. So I was in Cape Canaveral for the first time ever, which is
Oh, was that the
really
Lucy?
cool. It was Lucy,
Yeah.
and it was this launch for the one for James Webb was just after sunrise, I believe. So it wasn't as cool, I guess, going up. For the one I went to for Lucy, it was 5 a.m. launch,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was pitch black, and then it was as if like the sun was rising when
Yeah.
the rocket took off, and watching it, there was actually like a couple clouds like directly above the launch pad too. So maybe about like 30, 45 seconds into launch, the rocket goes through the clouds, and it was an illumination of clouds I don't think I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like the core of the cloud outward had been illuminated, and there was just this kind of like aura just kind of
Yeah.
blasting through the whole surroundings and filling up everything. It was as if like literally like the sun was sitting right in front of us, and then the sound of it too. I'm not sure if either of you have ever experienced a launch in person, but
Yeah.
it is like the loudest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Everything is shaking around you. I was standing on these bleachers, the closest you could possibly get to the launch pad. Everything is shaking. The bleachers are vibrating, and you just feel like your chest shaking as if someone's like just like next to you, grabbing at you. It was incredible to see that happen live.
Yeah, I've been to a few. The closest point I've been to was the Saturn V Center, because like
Okay.
they've got like the Kennedy the Kennedy Space Center main visitors area, and then you have like the Saturn V, which is just slightly closer by like the space shuttle runway, and then that's like I think the closest that the general public can get like with tickets. So that's where I've been. But yeah, the sound, that's one thing I always try and describe to people. It's like it's a sound you feel. It's a very difficult one to explain, but it's just brilliant.
And it's funny because it kind of stirs up the wildlife too. So one warning they told us, I mean, you're in the Everglades, right? So it is like a natural preserve. And so they told us, they're like, yeah, be mindful of snakes and you know, other wildlife like crocodiles, gators, yeah, like that are in that area.
There are gators on that base. There's gators. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Whole
We saw a
area.
couple snakes. I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. Actually, we were filming. I was on camera a couple times for doing kind of some interviews and stuff for the spacecraft before. And at the end of one of my interviews, like I looked down at my feet and I was like standing like probably about like less than a meter away from this rattlesnake.
Oh my God.
I thought it was dead initially, and then it started like moving as soon as I kind of like walked a little bit away from it. I'm like, oh, all right.
There's
real.
quite a bit of wildlife there.
Yeah, which is cool though. It's a fun drive in too. I mean, I work at Goddard, you know, traditionally, which is a pretty self-contained campus. It really does feel like a college campus. You can make it from like the very top to the bottom in probably about like maybe 5-10 minutes. It's not a far drive, but man, Kennedy is a sprawl. I mean, there are, you know, just so many launch pads, and just to get from the gate where I enter in for the employee gate to the press site took me about like a half hour. It was crazy. We're just driving so far out. And then a couple times I went out to the launch pad, actually, like the day or 2 days before the launch. I got to go and stand like right next to the spacecraft, and to get to there, it was like almost an hour drive just to get like all the way out to this launch pad. It was nuts to trip all the way out there. And I mean, I guess you do need that distance just because you can't, you know, be that close and have all these offices like, you know, 500 feet away from the launch pad. Everything's got to be very spaced out. So, and there are launch pads everywhere. So kind of making that distance is kind of cool.
Such a cool place.
Yeah, you talk to the ULA guys. You know, they check under their car for gators when they're in the parking lot. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But you know, I had a friend's parents used to live on, or actually a coworker's parents used to live on Merritt Island, and so they were right there, so they would just watch all the launches.
That's so cool. It's a really interesting area. There are like all these, I was out for a run like the day before, and I passed by like all these peacocks, like just a herd of them going past as well. It's just such a unique place, and like the mix of that with the science, it's a cool place to be.
It's fantastic. It's kind of weird, like as an English person going over there, because like you know the main west to east road, I don't know what it's called, like on like it kind of that goes from Orlando all the way to Cape Canaveral.
Yes, yeah. Like, I know what you're talking
about. It's kind of weird. Is it like the 192? I don't know. It's probably but it's kind of weird because like all our roads around here like just curve in some way. Like they're always going all the way up, and it sounds like really weird, probably like really strange to like American listeners, but like for me, it's like being on like one straight road for so long is a strange experience. It's like you're just going down for like an hour,
and then you always know you're going the right way though. It's like I guess this is the only way to go is east here. I'm trying to look this up.
So many good sights because I used to take so much footage of just looking straight down, and that bridge that connects Cape Canaveral to like the kind of like mainland Florida as well. And like going all the way over there, you got all the wildlife going by, and yeah, you say the gators because like there are banks down the sides of the roads, and like sometimes you can see their heads poking up and all that. And it's like crazy because it's like this is such a technological center of like, you know, innovation, and I don't know, I just love the vibe of the place. You know, it's like nature meets, you know, man-made proficiency. Love it. I think most of the launches I've seen have been Atlas V's. I think.
Yeah, that's what the one I went to was as well.
Yeah, and we went to see a Falcon 9, but we didn't actually end up seeing that because it scrubbed at 3 minutes, which was really annoying. Because we were all sitting out there. I was like, hey, oh no, what do they say? Hold, 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 I think, or something like that. Like it's just it's like a 3-word thing, and then you're like, oh, all right, sorry, they're done for the day.
Yeah,
that's the scrub.
There are a lot of I work so for Goddard we have like a sister facility called Wallops, which is like just directly east over in Virginia from here, and they have a ton of launches. Like almost every month, there's a resupply mission to the ISS, but those get scrubbed a lot as well because they're like getting kind of nor'easters and stuff coming through, or all kinds of storms that'll just kind of form quickly and hit them. But yeah, I remember there's one that was scrubbed for like I think 4 or 5 days straight back in August of this past year. But yeah, it's totally random. It seems like at times just these storms that come up and just kind of wreak havoc. I did see a Falcon though when we were driving up. There's a launch pad where they had it kind of stationed there. I think they have a couple launches coming up, and so they were just like flexing it a little bit for us to see as we drove by and got set up for ours. It was cool to see though. I'd never seen one up close. I mean, it's a powerful rocket.
Yeah.
There's if you when I drive the 105 in LA here, you drive past SpaceX headquarters and they have the reusable
the booster,
a reusable launch vehicle, and it's there. I mean, it's just part of the facade of the building now, right next to the airport there in Hawthorne. It's cool. I mean, it's impressive. It really is.
I really want to see the super heavy launch because that's going to be insane, massive.
Did you get a chance to see the VAB when you were in Florida?
The vehicle assembly building. Yeah, I did.
It is that. So just trying to explain that to people as well who hadn't gone. Like the scale of that building, I heard that it is the largest single floor building in the world. And because it's just like you go in there and just look up and it's just the ceiling is like a mile above you. But from a distance coming up, like it is insane. You can see it from the highway, like the one we were just talking about driving in, many miles away. But we worked like right next to that, and seeing that every day was just like awe-inspiring. You walk out, it's
just a big high bay.
Yeah, they just assemble like a lot of the rockets there before rollout. So they'll kind of put whatever the spacecraft is on top of a rocket booster, and then wheel it out to the pads from there.
Yeah, so
the fairings, they probably do that. They probably fuel it there.
Yeah.
If you go into Kennedy Space Center as a regular visitor, so they have like bus tours, I guess, but it's also just like for transport. So you can get on there, and then they take you around, and they do go by the VAB and like around. I think some of the old control centers as well, or like but like they take you all the way around, and it is interesting because you can see it kind of get larger and larger, and then it's just like oh my lord. And it's cool because they point out like, oh, here's like Boeing's new building kind of like next to it, and they're doing all sorts of tests and stuff, and you're like, oh wow, take some pictures. Yeah, it's cool. It's nice. But sadly, when we went to Florida just like a few weeks ago, we didn't end up going to Kennedy. We were far too busy doing other stuff.
Someone who was at Kennedy was telling us that if the American flag that's like on the side of the VAB, one of the stripes, so like the width of the stripe of the flag, is the width of a lane of highway traffic. So like standing underneath and like conceptualizing that, I'm like, wait, is that real? And like I was looking at like cars parked underneath and was kind of trying to like extrapolate up. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's real. It's insane though.
Crazy.
So you have 13 lanes of highway sitting there.
And if they actually built that highway, it'd all be filled up in a month.
Exactly.
Man.
So I'm hearing like rumors and stuff that this Tom Cruise film is gonna happen up on the the ISS.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about that actually.
Yeah, that sounds kind of.
They're gonna film.
Yeah, so
he's supposed to go up, right?
Yeah, from what I've heard, I think a UK-based company has like designed some kind of inflatable module that they can like do stuff in that they might kind of send up. I don't exactly know how it's gonna work, but I imagine that they'll attach it on, inflate, and then. But I mean, it does sound kind of like weird, doesn't it? Like, first of all, like civilians. You wouldn't really imagine them going up to the ISS, but you're like, if any civilian would, it'd be Tom Cruise.
Could you imagine if the launch, if something went wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
man. He seems to make things work. I remember he like broke his ankle in the middle of like one take and just kind of kept going with it. So I feel like if it like I don't know, the spacecraft starts to disintegrate, it would be like part of the movie, and he would just like somehow have like an escape pod and be out of it and be like.
Well, he was like flying what the F-14s in the new Top Gun or something. Like he's just.
Did he actually? He actually flew one.
He was in.
Yeah, I think so. He's just like. If there's a
skill
set, he wants it.
Yeah, they retired the Tomcats years ago. Was that? I didn't see the new one. Were those in Raptors, or were those in?
To be honest, I'm
what
not
was
sure.
that movie in?
I am
F-18s maybe.
I watched him talking about it on Graham Norton, I think. just like kind of explaining like how much of a spectacle it was, and how they wanted it to be like so physical. So you know, they had cameras all the way in, like no kind of VFX. Like yeah, of course they would.
Yeah.
But like the shots of him like from the Mission Impossible films, like, you know, holding onto the side of like the C,
Yeah,
whatever it was,
the 130 or whatever it is. It's like
Yeah.
a big transport plane.
Yeah, like
He's like
fancy
actually like
130.
hanging onto the side as it takes off.
yeah,
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god,
Crazy.
Those things are
Yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah.
yeah. Looks like fun though.
Yeah.
But that's a question: has anyone ever gone skydiving? Because I haven't. But
I've not.
no.
I bungee jumped, but not skydive. I free jumped off a 35 or 40-foot cliff. I bungee jumped, but no, I never skydive. I
The
wanted
bungee
to,
jumping,
and I didn't do that.
the bungee jumping almost scares me more than skydiving, just because it feels like death is a little bit more palpable, since like you're so much closer to the ground, and it's like if that rope snaps, it's like, I guess, you know, I don't know, almost instantaneous death versus I guess like the skydiving, it's like you're thinking about it more as you fall down. But I don't
Yeah,
know, maybe you hit like a velocity where it's like the wind, you know, resistance is kind of slowing you down enough if you kind of like swirl, you know, stretch out your arms and shirt and like try to slow yourself down. There's no time to slow down with the bungee jumping, and it seems like it would hurt as well too. Like the harness,
the
when it
harness
goes
hurt.
taut all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's I just say, like, I did it too. In there used to be this. I don't know if it's still there, but there was this amusement park, there's a water park in New Jersey called Action Park, and it was just the most insane. Actually, I think there was a documentary made
Yeah,
of it. It
I
was
saw
like the
this
most
on Reddit the other day. Yeah, there was a documentary about it.
like it was. You go there and you just know you're gonna get hurt. Like you're not. We called it Traction Park because you're coming out in traction. Like you're just. But anyway, so I jumped. I did the bungee jumping there, and it was a little bit safer because there was a I mean, as much as you could trust that park, you know, you get these like teenagers working all these things, you know, they just barely coming off their high. And so anyway, they had a big inflatable what do you call those things? Like an airbag on the bottom. So in case it broke, you have an airbag. I didn't trust it. You know, when I got down there and I actually like the you know, the thing slacked and we went down, I realized there wasn't much air in that airbag at all. So if it did snap, you know, that would have been bad. But
Yeah.
you know, so naturally, you know, we went up and did it again. But
Of course.
twice. But yeah, it's really fun. But no, skydiving I haven't done yet. I would have loved to, but now that I'm older and have more responsibility, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. About that park though, it's funny that I've never heard of it before, but I just saw it pop up on Reddit like the other day, and it was just a picture of a water slide, and you know, just a long water slide which had a really tight like curve right at the end, like a loop.
Oh yeah,
I saw that picture too.
yeah. So here's a story about that. I went there with my cousin, and
So
he used to go there a lot, and we went into the park, and the first thing we saw was that that slide was closed. And I never saw my cousin get that pissed off. He's like, and he's like cursing. He's like, every time I come here, like that freaking ride is closed because someone died on it the day before. And he's like, and I'm just like, I just start laughing. I'm like, oh my god, did you like even hear what you just said? Like, he wants to ride it so badly that he's pissed off that somebody died on it the day
He's
before.
letting me die. I want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, every time he goes there, he can't ride it because someone
Wow.
died on it the day before. Like, I mean, we were honestly though, we were adrenaline junkies, man. I'm surprised I'm alive.
Yeah,
I really
I'm surprised
am.
you're left too.
Yeah, yeah, but anyway, I mean, I have stories about that place. That was crazy. But yeah, I mean, we would ski there too. Like in the winter, it turned into a ski resort. It used to be called Vernon Valley Great Gorge and Action Park. Now I think it's called Mountain Creek or something. And yeah, anyway, so in the winter, it would turn into a ski resort, but there was never that much snow in northern New Jersey. I mean, you get like a few snowstorms every year, but that was it. So they made the fake snow, but the mountain was north facing. And at that latitude in the winter, I mean, the sun is like behind the hill almost the whole day. So anyway, you get this like, they had this one run called 0G. It was a black diamond, and it was all full of moguls, and it's just pure ice. It wasn't snow. There was no snowpack. It was just ice. And like, so I decided one day I was gonna try to do that, and I'm still amazed. Oh, and the funniest part is like that hill that's pure ice. It levels off onto the bunny slope. where the beginners are.
Oh.
So
You come in with like insane velocity and just take out all the beginners.
You do. I've seen
intense.
it. I've seen it happen so many times where people think they could take this hill. It's pure ice. They don't realize it's pure ice,
Yeah.
and you know it's just insane. I mean, yeah, there were some really good skiers there who took it, and they could just slalom,
Yeah.
between the beginners. But man, I saw some people get taken out.
Jeez.
That place was just raw. It was so funny.
That's New Jersey for you.
That was New Jersey. I mean,
Flawless land.
Yeah, exactly. But wow, I mean, what a place! Like, so anyway, I guess like I have to watch that documentary, but I would almost guarantee, even without watching it, it's all true.
Yeah.
I'm too afraid of like extreme sports to give stuff like that a try. I mean, I'm sure it's fun. Like, I can imagine having a lot of fun, but I'm not gonna like snap my leg or something for it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, honestly, like it was so dumb. Like I was called out too on Facebook from an old friend of mine who was even more of an adrenaline junkie than I was. And when I was in my 30s, I picked up Eskrima, so I started doing the mixed martial arts and Filipino stick and knife fighting. And like I would just come home, just we'd go out at lunchtime, and I would just train with these guys that were like black belts. One of the guys I used to train with was he used to train with Dan Inosanto, who was, I guess, Bruce Lee's training partner. And so we would just come back and we would just like beat the daylights out of each other and have these welts and all this stuff because we were beating each other with these like rattan sticks and stuff. And you'd have to get good because the only way you get good is, you have to not get hit. You don't want to get hit because it hurts. So you're forced to get better. But I've tapered that all down. But no skydiving.
It's the funny thing about you, Kev, is like, we speak to you so much, and like I feel like I have a good sense of who you are, and you're just like, this super nice and like nice passive person, and then you come up with like all these interesting like, oh yeah, we used to do like all this fighting. It's like, oh man,
beat each other with rattan sticks.
Yeah,
I'm not the smartest person. I just like the adrenaline. I mean,
I like it. It's good.
But I like people. I like being nice. So but it's fun. But I had to tone that all down.
Yeah.
I can't be doing that stuff anymore.
You became a more responsible person and a father.
I did, and that's what does it. Becoming a father does it because
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my god, like I'm responsible for this. Now what am I gonna? I can't. If I die skydiving? Like what's gonna? Can't do this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. if there is an extreme sport I would do, it'd be riding a rocket because I really want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
I mean, it could be, in the future, eventually we'll have, commercial travel up to, I don't know, up to the space station, up to Gateway, up to Mars, who knows?
Yeah.
Gateway Station? Yeah.
Well,
that'd be cool to have Gateway Station.
That's the one thing I thought that if you've seen the movie Ad Astra, I thought they did a good job with was, I wasn't the biggest fan of the plot in terms of, space movies, but they made it the moon kind of this like commercial, very colonized place. Like the first thing you see when they pull into the moon is an Applebee's. It's just like
no way. I gotta watch this.
It's now. And then it looks like the LAX airport. Like when you walk in, it's how it says like "Welcome to Los Angeles," big letters as soon as you get off the plane. It's like "Welcome to the moon." It says on it, and it was like they did a good job of kind of making it like this commercial platform, which is interesting. I don't know. We might eventually get that way. I mean, the next step for us, I guess, going forward is to start to use resources at the South Pole to blast us off beyond to Mars and elsewhere. But yeah, it was interesting how they kind of portrayed that. I thought it was like, yeah, this doesn't seem that far out. Like it seems pretty close. So it's cool.
If we launched from the South Pole, though, wouldn't that that have to pretty much be like nuclear hardened because you're going through the radiation belts there, right? Like wouldn't
I think, and just in terms of proximity, though, it gets us like a little bit closer already, though, since you're on the moon. But and then there's also just a lot of resources there, and just in terms of water ice content below the surface. So, but it's kind of crazy though. So it is. There are parts of it that are almost like permanently shrouded in darkness. So we were just talking about the temperature differences for James Webb. Temperature differences there are nuts as well because it's like in these craters. It could be kind of like a space horror movie you feel here, like. It's almost absolute zero in there. So, when they're training astronauts, they have them, be able to go into these, almost like spelunking underwater, kind of like in the moon, just to kind of practice for that. It's pretty crazy.
Wow, that would be awesome.
That reminds me about like temperature on the moon. I don't know if you've seen a video by Tom Scott, and he did one about like an old concept for like a UK spacesuit or like a moon suit. And like just the design of it, of course it looks like a medieval knight. But
No way.
but they
Got
had
the
like
chainmail,
it
keep you
was like
grounded.
it was like a serious idea like for it. Like it was a proper like well-made prototype. But they had a thing where like it has a cape where like you can bring it around like your body and it's reflective on the inside to try and like prevent like, you know, kind of heat from like leaving the suit. I was like, actually that's
Oh,
kind
nice.
of interesting idea, but it's just like really
Yeah.
funny that as serious as it is, it looks like a knight and he's got a cape.
That's like the technology in the show The Expanse, which is just, I mean, I
I've
think
been
that
meaning to watch
honestly,
that. That looks really good. Yeah.
you have to. It's like, I was, Curtis, you just finished watching it too, right?
I
You said you
did,
binged it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We and, like the viewers are going to be like, "Oh, the Expanse again," because like the last 3 episodes or something.
Oh, no
they
way.
mentioned it, but like, yeah, no, it's
But
good. The
yeah,
science, the
but
science behind it is like really nice.
yeah, you got to pay attention to the science
That's just
behind it,
cool
because
when they do that
especially
right.
a NASA guy, you're going to look at that and go,
Yeah.
that's where we're going to be. That's 200 years from
Yeah.
now. I mean, it's pretty spot on. Like, barring any like, you know, black swan inventions, you know, that come out of nowhere that revolutionize everything, like that's pretty much what we're gonna have, more or
Mm.
less. I don't know about the hologram stuff, maybe, but I mean, the way that the rockets, the way that the ships travel, the fact that they flip halfway through the journey, so that they're actually half of the journey they're slowing down to get to
Yeah.
their destination. Like, that's how we pretty much what we would do in space. Like, we
Yeah,
don't warp drive where you're just like coming to a dead stop. That doesn't happen.
and they put a lot of
I mean,
emphasis into time delays as well, like
yeah,
Yeah.
that
communication
too.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know,
That's
you
really neat.
just yeah, we won't drag on this topic because, you know, like Curtis said, the last three. But man, just watch
Yeah.
it. It's worth watching
But
or reading.
I asked my parents the other day, like, would they want to go to the moon at any point? And they were like, no, like, no way. Why would you? And I was like, hell yeah, I would. I want to.
I would.
Just because I think, from like a spiritual perspective, I'm not like religious or particularly superstitious or anything, but just like from like the human spiritual perspective, I just think it'd be really, really
Absolutely.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's the moon. Go to it, experience low gravity for a little while, and then
Ye-
feel very, very, very sick. But it'll be worth it.
Yeah, to get that
totally.
observer effect too, where you're just looking back at the Earth and it's just you realize, you know, how insignificant we are on
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things. You know, it's like a chunk of space rock could just easily take us out. You know, it's just like it's so insignificant on the grand scheme of everything. So
Yeah.
it's just amazing to kind of have that. I hope to eventually experience that at some point to be able to like look back and see the
Yeah.
planet.
I want to look
I
at
would
the
love
Marvel.
to.
I want to look at the Earth and imagine like all the many ages of people that looked up at the moon. You know, like all the
Yeah.
people like throughout all the years, just kind of laying down, and I'll be like, yeah, here we go.
That's right. And you're looking back.
Yeah,
You're on the moon looking back at the Earth,
that would be
which would
fun.
be wild.
Yeah,
I think that's a
Yeah.
really cool. That would be a really cool trip.
From a geological perspective, I don't know, nerding out a little bit here, looking at the moon too, just being able to look at stuff that's like untouched for, you know, years, billions of years. I don't know.
Billions.
It's kind of insane too, because, you know, on Earth, it's like we always have plate tectonics, like constantly shifting stuff and burying things and bringing new crust and stuff up to the surface. But the moon, I mean, you know, it's just there's none of that going on. It's dead, so geologically dead. You know, besides maybe moonquakes and stuff. But just being able to look at that stuff, and you know, that's one of the big goals of going forward for the Artemis mission and other missions is to bring back some of those samples again, and look at that stuff, and you know, learn about how we got here. You know, there's theories that you know the moon was once a part of Earth and it kind of split off, and if we can analyze this and maybe learn more about you know our planet and the future of our planet potentially too, or stuff like that, is kind of insane.
It is.
nice science. What about the Mars though? Do you ever envision yourself in our lifetimes? I don't know, but like, what do you think? Would you like to go to Mars for a visit?
That one scares me a little bit more just because the isolation, you go knowing it's a one-way trip, effectively, at least right now, you know, the way we have it designed. You know, the first people to go out there are, you know, going to have to work very hard to set up a colony, set up a civilization there, you know, make it sustainable that we can actually, you know, continue onward from there, move elsewhere. And yeah, just kind of going knowing that it's literally a death sentence. Like you're going to live and die on this place. You're never coming back. It's kind of crazy. And the trip out there as well. This is another thing Ad Astra I think did a good job with, is showing kind of the isolation aspect of space travel. You know, I feel like in a lot of movies you just see it's like, oh, we're blasting off and then we're at our target. but just that whole journey aspect. And then once you're there, just being so distanced from society, from people, and kind of slowly losing your mind. I feel like that would kind of get to me much quicker than just the moon. It's, a 3-day trip out there and back. It's so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're basically going to be like in the equivalent of a nuclear submarine. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to be like on the Enterprise with a holodeck,
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be like basically like the ISS going out there, It's just
one thing that always crosses my mind as well is what about like high-speed micrometeorites and stuff, just like randomly out in the black. Like there's only so much you can do against random anomalies like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And so,
planetary defense.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have shielding. Yeah, on the trip though, you don't have shielding.
Just like,
although if you do look
really fast, really quick, just punk, like right through the ship, and you're like, what the? Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Although space is so vast that you'd probably, I don't know, you could have actuaries run the numbers, but it's probably such a small chance that you get hit with a micrometeorite because of the vastness of space. But
high risk on the ISS right now just because of all the junk that's in low Earth orbit. There's just so much clutter up there. It's just so many things are in orbital trajectories of different satellites, and even just like little particles can just shred something up when they're moving at high velocity around the planet.
Yeah, 17,000 miles an hour. You're talking nasty. I mean, just and these idiots just doing these anti-sat tests. Just come on.
Oh yeah.
Release a bunch of golf balls like in the trajectory of something.
Yeah, like nothing's gonna. We're never gonna be able to like escape Earth if they keep flooding the zone with this crap.
And it's crazy. You can see it when you're like doing astrophotography as well. Like, there are these new features, streaks in the sky. You always have satellites and stuff, and now there's like other trash and things that it's like, oh, there's someone's toolbox like orbiting the Earth. Pick up or something.
Oh,
I mean, the good thing is the stuff in Leo usually falls back to Earth, but it takes time. It all takes time for it to, to just to circle the well and then finally burn up. Like it's, it takes a while for it to fall. And oh man,
we need to hurry up. I think like getting some off-world infrastructure going. Like
we gotta get going.
Yeah,
we do.
Running out of time.
We are.
They should be exciting, so long as it's not like overly politicized, which of course it will be.
Yeah. Which unfortunately probably will be, but it could be cool if it's like an Antarctica kind of situation where it's just like international property and it's made it so it's like this research haven, for everyone to collaborate and work together.
I quite like the idea of the space being dominated. This might be a controversial opinion, I don't know. I quite like the idea of the space being dominated by a few corporations rather than countries. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like if countries do it, it's like a heavily politicized, like, oh, this is ours war scenario. But I like the idea of like commercialization kind of taking it a bit, because corporate competition is good for technical development, should we say. I think there are like two scenarios where technology develops the fastest: war, which we don't want, and like intense economic competition. And I would prefer that to the first. So yeah, hopefully.
That's one thing I do like about SpaceX is that they're private and they move pretty fast. On the other hand, corporations have a lot of growing up to do as far as being good citizens of the planet. So there's always that double-edged sword. But I do like the economic competition aspect. You're totally spot on with that. I think that definitely hastens the progress of everything. And I love seeing it. I mean, I love seeing what SpaceX is doing. I'm no huge Elon Musk fan, but I love watching what they're doing. It's really cool. And when NASA gets funding, what you guys are doing is great too. It's just,
I know.
It just relies on funding, whereas Elon is relying on going and convincing investors to give him more money.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm intensely biased here, obviously having worked at NASA, but from a government perspective, it's great because we have an obligation to the people who fund us, the taxpayer, to bring you along for the ride and keep you engaged with the science. For my job, it's to communicate the research, communicate the missions to the public and teach. So kind of making sure that that's still a feature in whatever capacity going forward. Kind of avoiding the competition, avoiding the the politicization of it. But keeping it very much like an educational thing and an inspirational thing. I think that's what NASA in particular has done a really good job with. I like to think over the past 60 years, it's been to really inspire the public and really get people excited about new frontiers and science in general. So just kind of keeping that, but keeping it, neutral, politically neutral as possible, is ideal. And those collaborations as well, like, for James Webb, prime example, like we worked with another, big governmental group, ESA, conglomerate of all kinds of countries working together to advance, the human race through exploration. Just having that is really cool. Obviously, having the private development as well in there, they helped us build the rockets or build different instruments and stuff that you have for it, different guidance systems, all kinds of stuff.
Big
It definitely helps out as well.
James Webb.
Yeah.
You had a massive corporation build.
Yeah, Northrop Grumman was pretty big in Webb in particular. But yeah, so it's cool to have that, both of them. And it's tough, but yeah, just trying to keep it working in harmony is it's going to be cool.
NASA's always been quite unique in its like international perspective. Like,
yeah,
because you don't look at NASA and think, oh, that's a government body so much.
Nah.
Like, especially when compared to other government bodies. NASA always seems like its own kind of like unique, like independent entity almost, and I think that's probably a good thing.
In large part due to its public perception and kind of how it's been in pop culture and like in movies, or even if you go to like H&M, like there's all this NASA gear there. It's just like it's almost like a brand, so it kind of feels more like a private industry as opposed to government thing. Like it doesn't scream government, it doesn't scream like I don't know, bureaucracy. It's obviously got it because it's a government organization, but it feels more like cool, I guess, more like Hollywood with like, it's used in like a lot of movies and stuff like that.
I can imagine
it is really cool.
I can imagine someone like across the world, like, I don't know why they're smoking, but they're smoking and they're saying, oh, I hate America, but they're wearing like some NASA merchandise, I can imagine like that kind of thing. It's like it's a symbol. What about The Martian? Any thoughts about that film? I quite liked it.
That's one I somehow missed. I don't know how I didn't watch that one.
Oh my god! Of all the ones,
cast. I know of all the ones. I don't know how I missed that one. I definitely have to go watch it. I've listened to the soundtrack. I love movie soundtracks. Yes. That one came up, I think, as like a recommended thing for me. But yeah, I've got to watch it. So I don't currently, I guess, have any takes on it since I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, you have to watch that. To be honest, like I don't like all of like the Earth diplomatic scenes because I think maybe some of the casting choices are a bit weird. With Sean Bean, I don't know if he had to be in the film with his like his northern like kind of voice in like NASA, and it was just a little bit.
Did he die in the film?
No, he didn't. Didn't die.
No, he made it.
He made it, yeah, but they made a reference. They made a reference to Lord of the Rings. I won't like spoil that, but they had to do it for a laugh. But like the Mars scenes, so good, so good. Like I love it so much. And yeah, the soundtrack's fantastic because I listen to that while I do my work sometimes as well.
Oh, I was going to say, bringing things back to 3D here for a second, there's a game I just played through back at the end of December that is one of the classic LucasArts games, actually developed in part with Steven Spielberg's oversight and based on Orson Scott Card's writing for it. It's called The Dig. Phenomenal game if anyone's looking for a classic vintage CGI, but it's kind of a similar premise to The Martian. Like there's, I guess in a way, I don't know, there's this asteroid that is all of a sudden threatening Earth, and they send up a group of astronauts to kind of explore it, but it's all about them kind of exploring this asteroid, exploring this weird society that's kind of inside of it, and it's really cool. But just the soundtrack for it's phenomenal as well too. But it's also just the writing's incredible. It feels like it could be a really good movie as well. Here, let me look this up as well. The soundtrack was designed
nice
as well for, but amazing classic LucasArts game. Really
cool.
Nice.
So are like film soundtracks the kind of thing you listen to when you're doing your artwork, or do you choose some like more mellow stuff?
It depends. Yeah, I really do feel like I gravitate to like a lot of film, TV soundtracks. In particular, there's like a lot of these vintage games I love. If you've ever played like Monkey Island, also from LucasArts, or Grim Fandango.
Zach McCracken and the Alien Mind Vendors. That was a really cool one.
Yeah, so like a lot of those like vintage games are really great. Or there's another one called Faster Than Light, FTL. If you ever played that one, it's kind of like a real-time strategy type game. That soundtrack's phenomenal. Yeah, stuff like that I'll listen to. It depends on, I guess, the piece I'm creating kind of, one of my more kind of abstract-ish, kind of surrealish. I'll listen to kind of the spookier, video game soundtracks. But if it's something more like floral or kind of filling these spaces with things, I'll listen to like a lot of like electronic music, or sometimes I'm working with musicians. I'll listen to their music obviously as I'm getting inspired for stuff. But Yeah, definitely there's some nostalgia factor to it as well. And that definitely, like, I try to capture with my work, and having that, fueled from nostalgic music definitely helps as well, too.
I really want to watch the new Matrix film. I know it's got like a very mixed
Oh, yeah.
reception,
I haven't seen that as well.
but the new soundtrack's on Spotify, and I don't want to listen to it before I see the film. Because like one thing I've noticed is that like sometimes I listen to film soundtracks and video game soundtracks before I like play the game or watch the film, and when it finally comes around to it, well, as I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, I recognize that, and like I'm taken out of the moment, like because I'm recognizing it from my past emotional experiences while listening to it with work, and I'm not really focusing on the film anymore. So this time I'm going to avoid it until I see the film, and then like listen to it back. But
yeah,
I think one of the film soundtracks I've listened to the most is the Blade Runner 2049.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Very good
that's
one.
a classic.
Oh, that and Tron Legacy as well.
Oh yeah, Daft Punk, amazing. Yeah.
I think they're doing another Tron film, so I'd be
Are they actually?
yeah, although probably not with Daft
Daft Punk's retired though, so they probably won't.
They're out of it.
One of them exploded, so I guess that's gonna be tough for them. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's cool. Like going back to your point about like music in video games as well. The way they craft kind of the sound bed for things is super cool as well. In the classic LucasArts games, they used an engine called iMuse, which is kind of this groundbreaking achievement that they did, where it's almost like having it loop properly, kind of based on where you are spatially in the scene. And if you will kind of like change rooms, there's different kind of variations of the same song that they'll have kind of like layered on, and they'll make the transition kind of naturally to different like character specific motifs, and kind of bring it back to the overall sound bed, how it's layered. It's super cool, and experiencing it that way, it definitely gives you like a very different vibe when you're re-listening to it later. It's like, oh, I remember that association, I remember that transition. That's why, like, when I usually pick up like a new album, I always love to listen to it end to end, and I always appreciate the artists that kind of craft that narrative through it. Like I know like Tyler the Creator, or even like Jaden Smith has some kind of narrative through his songs. It's kind of amazing how it like just transitions naturally through, and kind of hearing that sound bed progression is always cool, and callbacks to like different vignettes before. It's interesting.
Operation Mindcrime.
Yeah.
If you like kind of like interactive music with video games, I highly recommend Tetris Effect if you haven't tried that already.
I've not.
It's a beautiful game. They go like so it's like you go around the world playing Tetris essentially, and
oh wow, okay,
yeah, pretty much. And they have like a variety of different artists, like music artists, taking part. But the thing is, as you're playing it, like the music changes and adapts to like the pace of the game, and like as you're placing blocks down, and as you get further and further and higher points, like it all builds up into this crescendo of these different cultural styles and stuff. And it's insane.
Nice.
Like you have to play it because it's just
like
the
this looks cool.
A really tactile musical experience. So yeah.
Oh man, I
love Tetris. Have you ever played Quadra? Do you know what that is?
No, I haven't tried that.
It's like, so Tetris has the limit of 4 lines, right? That's like the max you can get. Quadra has no limit. So you can just like stack blocks up to like infinity, even beyond like your viewport, and then like have them cut down, and you'll just get like 20 lines or something crazy.
Whoa.
But it does something somewhat similar to what you're describing, where like the backgrounds kind of change throughout time, and it like has different even sound effects for like when the blocks come down. There's one that sounds like bubbles, one that sounds like, I don't know, like water falling, one that's like, I don't know, more like stone kind of connections.
I had a really weird kind of psychedelic-ish experience with Tetris Effect in the way that I was feeling really kind of ill for a little while. There was like these really, really intense vestibular kind of migraines, and like whenever I would move my head, it'd be like all like, whoa, everything's delayed and stuff, you know. I was like, oh god. But I just got so bored of laying down all day that I just sat in front of the monitor feeling really weird, and just like I had it new. It was this LG one, and it's such a vibrant monitor on certain settings, so I turned it up to its most colorful options, its brightest option. I just like played the game like really loud, and I was like, oh my god, this is the weirdest experience ever. But it was fantastic. So yeah, high recommendation.
Sitting there with your cup of ayahuasca, adding to the effect.
Yeah, well, I don't touch anything like that.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I have enough trouble just holding on to reality as it is with some of my medical stuff. Oh, hello.
Oh, whoa.
We got Markom.
Good morning.
Boys.
Boys.
How you doing, Markom?
Hey, James. How you doing, man?
How's it going? It's been a while.
Oh,
bright and early there. Before sunrise, even.
Wow.
7:45.
Markom, well done on the Stormtrooper animation, by the way. I like that one.
Oh, how good
Oh,
did
yeah.
it turn out?
Yeah, it was nice. I don't
I
know.
went back and watched it again. I'm like, something's wrong with me.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, James, but
I'm not.
Mark has been doing
This is one of your
animated
new videos.
shorts, and yeah, one of them was about Stormtrooper being born, and yeah, I don't know if I should spoil it, but it basically comes out as a full Stormtrooper, and it's just like a funny thing.
Is it on your YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been meaning to
Uh,
comment on that. I don't.
Is it the Stormtroopers will never say this? Is that one? Oh my god, this looks nuts from the preview. Yeah, I think this is it.
Oh, Kev, by the
I
way,
was hoping that it would have done better, but
I recorded a
You
new
know
video
what?
today, Kev, and I recommend a couple of your recent videos as well, just so you know.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's about
Awesome.
14 like amazing new tutorials and Blender projects, and I threw a couple of those
Oh,
out.
sweet.
So, yeah,
Nice. Thanks.
that's all right. I just hope the edit comes out all right. Because one thing I've noticed is while standing up and doing like recordings in front of the green screen, like the cable as I move around and it hits stuff, you know, you can hear it audibly.
Oh,
So,
you hear it.
yeah, I'll
Yep.
need to. That's unavoidable to a certain degree, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hope it's all right.
Comment on
Have you
that
got-
video. This video is crazy, by the way. I just watched the Stormtroopers one. Amazing.
Hmm.
The only time that a Stormtrooper did actually hit a target. That's amazing. Oh my god.
That's
Love it.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
like his sense of humor, Markham.
Good stuff.
I'm now preparing myself because there's a local competition I do every year for the past 11 years, 12 years, and it's called Lights, Camera, Action.
Mhm.
And you've got 10 days to make a short film, and you've got to use
Oh, wow.
10 objects or locations from around camera. So they give you those things, and you have to use all 10. And I normally always do an animation purely for the fact is there's not that many people who are stupid enough to do an animation in 10 days. I think the last one I spent 120 or 140 hours rendering in that week.
Oh, jeez.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
I've been speaking to like
Do
one
it.
of my other Australian friends in my Discord server, Hayden Hattrick. He's actually got like a
oh yeah.
semi-famous like YouTube video of like 3 million views from like when he was at school, just like playing with a plasma ball. It's kind of funny. He's been recognized a couple of times for it. Anyway, Hayden's like a really like scientific-minded person, really clever, really funny to talk to. But we were speaking kind of recently about like if I had to stop living in the UK, where would I live? Because it's a really difficult decision. Like, because we've got like a place in America. I really like Canada. You know, I'm like, where would it be? But I think I've settled on Australia, and I think that the reason for that would be I've already got family out there. Plus, I think
nice.
culturally, the UK and Canada and Australia are like really, really like close. Because like we share like so many TV shows and everything as well. And
Colonies.
yeah, pretty much. So, but I mean, America would probably be like my second or third choice, I think. But one of the main reasons I wouldn't would probably be because of the healthcare. But you know,
Big one.
It's not the
that's
best.
main one. Yeah. Also, taxes. Like, is it true? I don't know. Like, you don't get like you need to kind of like calculate everything. If they say you've got a problem,
Yep.
they don't tell you.
We're going through that right now. It's fun. Yeah, you have to go through all your forms and figure out how much you owe the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are like the two main things. I'm like, okay, yeah, healthcare and that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with us, if you've got like a simple 9 to 5 job, with nothing extra, you can just do it all online. It is literally like a couple of clicks and you've done your taxes. Because your work, like the government knows how much you earn because your workplace sends it all in. Your bank's got all your details, and they all know that. And it's like next, cool.
Yeah, for us, we basically just there's a collection of fields. You know, you answer a few questions. You kind of make sure that you've printed up your statements and all of that, and you basically just enter the values for what you've earned, what you've spent, kind of business related, and like other stuff like that. And then it basically tells you how much you owe, like for like the coming year or two or whatever. And you pay some in advance sometimes as well. But it's like, yeah, it's a kind of like simple system. But like if I had to like if you had the fear of like knowing that you had to be like exact, I would that'd be a bit weird. Like if a country
or
wants to get
you
paid
could
its
trigger an audit.
tax, like why wouldn't it just like helpfully tell people like what they need to pay? Sounds a bit
Yeah. And
when
there's software to like assist with it here, but it's not free. There's an interesting John Oliver piece on this from a couple years ago, kind of doing a case study on I think TurboTax or one of those software things, and how like they make it seem like it's a free or like a reduced price version. It should be free to do your taxes ideally, but once you start kind of getting going and you're like a couple steps in, it's like, oh, by the way, you owe us money. It's like, ah, well, I've already gone this far. I might as well just like bite the bullet. And so kind of they get people by like attrition, just to kind of pay.
Brilliant.
yeah,
Yep.
it kind of sounds like one of those things where an industry is now being built around it, so they don't want to change it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's true. Everything is commercialized in the United States. Everything. So they don't want to break healthcare because there's an insurance company or insurance industry. They don't want to break fossil fuel and because there's a whole oil industry. I mean, it's just there's economic interests and they don't want to touch any of it. So we have to.
Yeah.
So it basically comes down on the burden comes down on the citizens to do it all.
So I tried, like, I don't have a good way of explaining it, but I was speaking to Ben, BBBN19, a little while after I got back from Florida. And I've been thinking about, like, why or how America feels different to, like, the UK. Because I think I've spent a year of my life in America now. So, like, 1 out of 25 years, which is, like, quite a
Oh.
lot, like, you know, in comparison, or relatively speaking, to, like, other travelers. But it feels like in the UK, the culture is more individual focused. You're an individual, like, here's your journey, here are things that will help you, etc. In America, it feels more like a people factory. In the way that some things are so well designed and efficient and optimized, and other things are like, how the hell does that help a person? Like, you know, and I think the reason why those oversights happen is probably because, yeah, there's an industry there, but also because, like, you don't think on the individual level so much, like, you know, from an economic perspective. So it'll be things like car production. Like when we're like just driving around in like rented cars out in America, there's like so many like extra features and everything seems like, you know, just so like well made and just like, wow, really interesting. Not so much in like the UK, we don't really care so much about that. But like other areas, like, yeah, the whole, you know, the healthcare and everything, maybe even like some form of public transport or whatever, you're like, yeah, it's kind of okay, but it's lacking. And like, I don't know, yeah, it just feels more like,
Yeah.
oh, the advertisements as well. You like so many of the advertisements in America lean so heavily into psychological tactics. Like we don't necessarily know who we're targeting, so we're going to go for the most general, effective psychological technique. We're going to say the same thing over and over and over again to bury it into your head. We don't necessarily do that. We have like jingles and stuff, but like in America, I listen to it. They're like, "Oh, it's this name, like this company name, this company name, this company name," and I'm like, "Oh my god, like what the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels more like a people factory. Like that's the only way I can kind of like describe the sense. But it's probably because when you got such a high population density in like so many states and that, I guess it's only like like a natural result of it.
It's also really, I don't know, I'm annoyed by, I guess, like our urban planning here too versus like Europe. So I've spent quite a bit of time in France as well too. And in France, you don't really need your car necessarily to go out and run your errands. You know, you can just like walk down the street to the supermarket, the boulangerie to get your bread, you know, to get your meats and stuff, everything. It's all like right in the same area.
Yeah.
But for the US, like this, there's the suburban sprawl. Like you really have to get in your car and drive, you know, everywhere,
Both
literally
places,
everywhere.
yeah.
You know, even just to go get like milk and bread from the store. I live in a city now, so I'm able to go down. But before, like I grew up in the suburbs, so it's like, you know, to go literally anywhere, even like restaurants and stuff. There's none that are like right next to where I live. Like I always had to like drive the next town over, you know, park and then drive back afterwards. It's like a whole ordeal. And you know, I've not had that experience elsewhere where it's like you're just so it feels spread. Yeah, and just so kind of focused. Like you have to have a car, and it's tough for a lot of people to obviously afford a car and afford gas and everything. And it's just that sprawl. You know,
Yeah.
LA, Kev experiences on a daily basis. I mean, you know, it's dominated by highways. Your public transit's just you can't use it there, so it's like you have to jump in the car to go anywhere.
You need a car in LA. There's no way around it. I mean,
Yeah.
people do it, but it's
Impossible. I did it for
public
summer without a
transit
car.
is so slow.
Impossible. Awful.
When I lived in New York was awesome because you didn't need a car.
Yeah.
New York's mass transit is phenomenal. New York City, I'm saying, not upstate or anything, but the
DC
city
is
itself.
as well too. The metro here is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the DC metro is really good, and Boston has a decent metro.
Boston's good too. Yeah.
And Chicago has the L, so that's pretty good. But you get outside of those cities and forget it, man. You need a car. Yeah, you need a car. You're driving. It's just it's a mess. It's not planned very well.
It's interesting because
It's
like
planned for the car.
I'm kind of afraid of driving in the way that I just like I have no interest in doing it, and I don't want to get in like a crash or something. I've got my driver's license, but like ever since getting it, I went out once after getting the license because my parents basically like forced me to do it, and that's it. Like, and that was like years and years and years ago when I was like what 17 or 18, and
Yeah.
around here there is no need for it, and like yeah, we've got shops on our road. On my road, I've got a train station right into London, like all like up and down. No need whatsoever. But also considering that I work from home anyway, so that really helps. But like if I was in America, yeah, I could imagine that I probably would drive a lot. One thing I do like is the structure of your roads. I don't want to like offend anyone. It seems easier to drive in America, in the way that not that it requires less skill, but in the way that so many straight lines and crossroads instead of roundabouts.
You think that, but then you'd be surprised at how crazy drivers are here.
Yeah, but like I prefer crossroads to roundabouts because we've got roundabouts here.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, when you pull up on them, right? You have you give right of way to the person on the roundabout, although it depends on the country you're in, because in other countries it's done the opposite way. I think in France it's done in the opposite way, but I'm not sure. But like it's kind of like not everyone indicates because they're supposed to indicate like if you're like pulling off in certain ways, and some people don't, and you have to kind of judge the speed that they're coming around, and it's really annoying.
They'll stop all of a sudden. It's like
then it's like like I like the crossroads because they're more structured, and it's like okay, well you know that you can go there, you can turn right, if it's free and stuff like that.
There's this montage I've seen of roundabouts in the U.S. they've set up here, and no one knows how to do them here. It's kind of fascinating. But there's this amazing video I saw of it. Someone like, I guess just saw it as like a ramp or something, so they just like drove and then just accelerated like full speed directly like through the roundabout, and it just like cleared it to get to the other side. It's amazing. So I don't know. I personally like them because it's like stop signs and stuff. You're always waiting forever for things. It just kind of keeps the flow, I think, moving a bit better.
Yeah, it's technically better. It's technically
we don't have many of them here.
If people know how to use them, that is. If people are using it properly, it's so fast. But otherwise it's awful.
Roundabouts all the way, baby.
Yeah, we don't have them in LA.
5Ks to work. I got to go through 4 roundabouts.
Wow.
Canberra is just built on roundabouts.
How large are they too? The ones that are like 3 cars, the one around like the Arc de Triomphe from France is like 5-6 cars, no lanes. It's like a free for all once you get in there. Like, if it's like 1 or 2 lanes, it's manageable, but beyond that, it's like terrifying.
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is one of the reasons why I hate them now. So my driving instructor, there's a really mean roundabout around an area called Thamesmead. Right, which is kind of like a bit further into London. Thamesmead's interesting. It was like I think in the 1970s ish. They gave it like all this brutalist architecture to try and make it like this really futuristic and like nice place, but it just turned into a shithole. So it just looks like really crummy now, like really depressing kind of post-Soviet like part of London. Anyway, they have this really weird roundabout, which is an odd shape because it's not round and it's not a square. It's somewhere in between. And like the lanes on it aren't clearly defined. I think there's about like 3 or 4 lanes or something, and it's elevated. So you go on there, right? And when you're looking at people like coming like with the right of way, you can't exactly tell what lane they're on, but you kind of know what lane you want to be on, but you can't exactly see the lines. So it's like you're trying to figure out what lane they're on and whether or not it's clear for you, and you go on, and it's like it was the worst thing for a learner driver.
Man, if we had those here, everyone would be dead.
Yeah.
Like they can't even see a red light.
The rolling stops where it's like they're not even stopping; they're just gonna go through. Or they have to like when there's a red light, they just start kind of like inching into the intersection, like in anticipation of changing green. So they're already like midway in. It's like if you're trying to cross, it's like, well, great, now there's a car, in my lane waiting to cross. It's like, what are we doing here?
Oh, that's
or they'll go on the yellow and then it turns red and they're sitting in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
and they can't
it's like, oh, thanks. I guess I can't cross now.
Watching people do U-turns at like crossroads.
Geez.
Yeah, that's because I never really see that here, but that's always interesting. Like, whoa, hold on, like
someone did that.
Yeah,
there's like a bridge here that's into and out in DC, and it's like a 3-lane each way like highway kind of getting into it with no like median. So people do U-turns on there all the time, but it's like a highway, like you're moving like quickly over this bridge. So like I've seen almost every single time I'm there, like someone just doing a U-turn like in the middle of this highway effectively, and it's just like chaos. I don't know how people don't die doing that.
Yeah, the Beltway itself is just a nightmare. I mean, just
Beltway.
round and around and
Yeah.
around, then all the 95s, 495 or whatever it is, just all around, 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 around. Oh
Yeah.
man,
It's easy to
like,
miss your exit there too. So you often have people who've like mixed their exit, like trying to back up,
yep,
and it's like, why are we
yep.
going in reverse?
It's like there's the Mormon church
Amazing.
again. Well, there's the
Yeah,
Mormon church
that
again.
that thing is terrifying looking when you approach it.
It is.
Is
It's cool at night though.
Cool at night,
Lights
yeah.
up really nice. Yeah.
is
Evil buildings.
is jaywalking still like a thing? Like, do people get like punished for that?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
If it's enforced.
yeah. As
One of my friends got twice in like the same day from the same cop. I think where they were crossing like one area.
this is the weirdest freaking thing. Like for Europeans,
Yeah.
we just walk over the road. Like it does.
Yeah.
Like,
you just walk straight across.
yeah.
For me, culture-wise, that it's like that and yellow school buses.
Really? Yellow school buses? What is that?
We don't do yellow school buses here.
Yeah.
What
do
color
you
are
do?
they?
There are no school buses.
Oh, there are no school buses.
Yeah.
You just jump in a normal bus.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what happens here as well. Although, so there's a bit of a caveat to that. So the normal buses that you take to school here, if you need them, but sometimes the buses would park in the school grounds to like pick up some of the kids. I don't exactly remember why, but it was just like a convenience thing. But yeah, we don't have like school buses the same way.
Oh wow, okay.
Weird.
But yeah.
Yeah, we have the big yellow ones. And
Yeah,
then we have the short. Then we have the shorter ones.
shorter ones.
But I think also the thing about jaywalking is that a lot of our roads are smaller, and like so you know it'd be weird. It's like, okay, it's just a few meters over there. Why like I want to walk there? Why do I have to go all the way over there, like, and then cross when I can just like jump over this? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen people like jaywalk here, but they take their like sweet time doing it. It's like they're walking across, and I'm like driving. I'm just like, well, I obviously have to stop for you. I'm not gonna like plow through you, but they're just like walking like so slowly. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do it, you gotta commit to it. You gotta really, especially in busy roads in the city, you gotta move. You gotta go.
You gotta move.
Yeah.
Yeah, like LA, you're never gonna get in trouble for jaywalking here in LA. But if you go to like Burbank or you go to Glendale, which is its own municipality,
Of course.
yeah, those cops, the police there are generally pretty bored because they're pretty decent areas. So you just, you know, you're gonna get nailed.
The only crime in
They
Burbank
see
is the
you.
ones that's like on TV in the studios that they're filming there. It's like
This is why,
crime shows or something.
This is why I'd move
Exactly.
to Australia, because me and Markham were like, jaywalking. What the hell's going on?
I know. I have this idea of Australia as just this like paradise where like every third thing can kill you, but it's still paradise. It's not as crowded. It's not as congested. It's just more chill. The people seem friendlier. I don't know.
People
Our
look.
capital city only has 400,000 people.
Yeah,
Really?
there you go. Perfect.
Damn.
Wow.
Perfect.
And there's like literally no one in the middle of the country as well. It's pretty much just like on the east and west coast, right? That's like the extent of it.
Yeah.
So predominantly we're East Coast, a little bit on where Perth is on the West Coast, Southwest.
Yeah.
We've got one on the north. And then, yeah.
Which
pretty
one's
much
the
centre
Gold
of
Coast? Which side is that?
Is northeast.
It's okay.
So going back to U-turns on because we're in the Gold Coast last week, their roads, there's one kind of like major road that runs through Gold Coast, and you need to get to the traffic lights, and that's where you do all your U-turns.
Wow.
Right.
So if you want to turn right, you got to do a U-turn and then go back. I was like, wow, that's ingenious.
Hello, Charan.
I have to go there.
Daddy.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are mobile phone microphone, Charan.
Okay, just give me a second.
Okay.
I have friends that moved to Costa Rica. They used to live outside of Philadelphia, and they had this like really nice Victorian house. It was like 7 bedrooms, beautiful. One day, I just found out they just packed everything up, and moved their family to Costa Rica, and now they're just living in Costa Rica, and they're just surviving. They're making money by writing like romance novels for Amazon. I'm like,
Wow.
okay,
Living the dream.
or sci-fi or something. I don't know, but they're writing for Amazon Kindle, and it's like, man, living la pura vida.
Oh wait, talking about traffic lights and stuff.
I'm
I remember
jealous.
when we were in South Africa, there was like a don't stop at traffic lights rule. Well, it wasn't really a rule. It was just guidance because you don't want to get carjacked. That was a very different experience.
That's yeah. Gotta hope LA doesn't go back to that.
Yeah, that's where Benedict Cumberbatch got carjacked not well, kidnapped, not carjacked, but yeah,
Oh, in South Africa?
yeah. Because I
Oh,
mentioned
that's
this on the
right.
podcast
Really?
before, but yeah, I think he was basically being driven in a cab, and then they got him from there. But I mean, he got out of it. But yeah, like the road crime there is pretty intense. But honestly,
Wow.
it's like a really beautiful place, and like the villa we were living in was like really nice, and I've got all sorts of pictures of it, and yeah, really nice, but just a bit crazy in other aspects.
All right, I'm gonna have to use Sam Bolt. I gotta go to work from
Alrighty.
home, so
Yeah.
I just got to go to this screen.
Nice. Working
Yeah.
from home.
The long commute,
Uh,
all those roundabouts to get onto your screen there.
I know.
Yeah, you just got to do this with your hand. It's on your roundabout.
The mouse.
Roundabout.
No, actually,
push.
I gotta unplug the screen and plug the other cable back in
yeah.
Oh man, that's horrible.
because
I feel for you.
I got my work computer and then I got my main computer. So
On that note, I got to bounce too. I had a hard stop at 1, and I'm already 8 minutes over. So
Alrighty, no worries.
it was great to see you again, James, and good to see you
Yeah.
guys.
I'll try to be
Yeah.
on more
Again.
as well.
Thanks, Kev.
Like-
Yeah, definitely. Please do, man. You add a lot to the conversation. It's great, man. It's always fun talking to
it's
you.
interesting.
Yeah, good chatting
Always
as
have a-
well.
You guys have a lot of cool stuff to share.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys.
So,
All right, see ya.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, I said Charan a message before we started, and I was like, Charan.
Yeah, I was
BlenderNest?
watching a movie. I'm sorry.
What
I didn't-
Movie. What's more important, Charan?
Oh god, yeah. I was actually watching Pacific Rim for the nth time now.
Okay. Well, here's a question: Have
Uh,
you seen The Martian?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That's
Guess what? Well,
awesome.
James hasn't seen it. James, our NASA
Plead the
guy.
fifth.
NASA guy.
I know.
Oh my god, James,
That's one I
what is
missed.
this?
I don't know. I don't know how I missed that one. I think it came out. When did it come out? It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Something like that.
No,
yeah.
I think it came out like a particularly busy time in college for me. So I think I wanted to see it, but I wasn't able to peel away to watch it. And then it went to DVD, and then I just was like, I never got around to it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I haven't
You
seen.
should watch it.
I haven't seen Dune yet, and I really wanted to see that.
I haven't seen that either. Yeah, that looks excellent.
Dune was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've been releasing like more clips on YouTube now, like segments from the film, and I've been like watching those and going,
Yeah.
"Oh, I really want to see it."
Yeah. And I've been trying to avoid spoilers
God.
for the Spider-Man No Way Home as well too. I've yet to see that.
MB.
Oh, good.
It was good. It was awesome.
Yes.
I didn't like the last one, Far From Home. I didn't like as much as the first one, Homecoming. That one was, I thought, really good.
I
But-
agree. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
watching Homecoming before Pacific Rim.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good. I thought that was a good one.
Movies, yeah.
It took it a very different way. The series, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't show his backstory, but then it was good.
Yeah.
You understood
And-
what he is basically in the movie.
And then there's a new Spider-Verse coming out too. I mean, that was, I don't know where they're going to go with this new one, but the old one, the first one, 10 out of
Was the
10.
best.
Yeah. The
Incredible
animation
movies.
style, man.
Yes.
No,
I mean-
no complaints with that one.
All this while, I think Spider-Man movies, every single one is amazing. I mean, even Andrew Garfield's. I really
yeah,
love
the
both of
memes
them.
that
I
come
was
out of them
watching
alone. I
yesterday,
mean, they keep it relevant, they keep it funny, they keep it light. I mean,
Exactly.
it's great. Yeah.
have you heard that there's going to be Amazing Spider-Man 3?
Oh.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
Oh my god.
I can't
Yeah, I
wait.
mean, if you look at I saw this. I think it was like on one of those Reddit with like the stats or like the cool guides or cool graphics or whatever. Someone like compiled like the top earning franchises around the world, and so obviously there's like Pokemon's a big one, or stuff like that. But somehow Spider-Man, I think, was like the top one. It had like made the most royalties on stuff as a franchise. I didn't realize that. I guess like with the comics and stuff that were associated with it. Obviously, all the movies are this last one like hit $1 billion like overnight. It seemed like. And I guess like all the merch that comes out of it, everyone you see at like Halloween, or costume parties and stuff. That's always one costume you see. It's kind of amazing.
I did watch it on the third or fourth day after it got released.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Do you-
So good.
Yeah, it's no spoilers, obviously. But
Yeah.
like it's a really exciting film. Like even for like someone that doesn't like, if someone doesn't like Spider-Man, I think they'll still find it exciting just because it's like,
Okay.
oh wow, that's interesting. But yeah, one thing that's funny is that when Endgame came out, I remember looking at like my YouTube stats and seeing like noticeable dips throughout the day of like when cinema times, like at like the kind of 3 or
That's
4
funny.
hour intervals, and I was like, oh my god, That's a real cultural phenomenon.
Wow.
Yeah. Mad.
Did you think the half of the population was gone?
Did I think what?
Half of the viewership is gone or something.
Oh no.
Because
Because like
snaps, yeah.
yeah. Oh right.
You didn't get it. Oh
No, I
my
didn't
God,
get it.
Curtis,
Yeah,
what's
I'm
wrong with
sorry.
you?
Sorry. I misunderstood. Oh man.
I mean, yeah, James got it.
So
Yeah.
all right, I have a question, James. Do you use anything to help you organize your projects? Like,
Well, it was drilled in me through the research I did in college to set up a very, very, very good file hierarchy. I had used previously, and like now I use Windows, but throughout college I mainly used Linux, and so I would mainly use command line as I'm typing stuff up or kind of going through folders. So I'm really used to kind of like setting up directories that way, and without even opening up the file, like I'll know it's in it just because I've named stuff really well. I'll tag things really well. So I kind of have, just because of that, set up a really good system already. So like I know how to kind of CD through my different directories and kind of see what's in there really easily.
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been like over the last half year or so really like improving my organization because it was really necessary. Because like where I am in terms of like a business is like it's full time for me now, but it's not full time enough to hire someone else to help out with anything yet.
Yeah.
So it's in the purgatory where there's
Then
too
it's when-
much. Yeah, there's too much to do like for one person. So like you really need organization to help out. So I was looking over like all my folder structures and task management, and I've really managed to simplify my folder structures now. I was trying out techniques like I call the bin system, which is where there's like a folder for prepared videos, a folder for recorded ones, then edited, and then like prepared. So they just move down like the list pretty much, and then they get like uploaded and thrown out. But that was like I was like, okay, that's unnecessary. So now there's just like one folder for all the video projects, do everything in there, get them out.
Yeah.
But now I've been using software called ClickUp, and I've been using that for a
ClickUp.
little while. I was
I
using
use Notion.
Trello for idea management, and then ClickUp for task management because I really liked how I can prioritize tasks. And I've ended up, it's like the first organizational software I'm actually paying for now. It's free.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
There's like more resources and
Really,
stuff you
yeah.
can go with them.
because
Yeah.
one thing I really like about it is I can have like all my video projects visible as a list and as like a board system like Trello, so I can swap between the views and like move them from like prepared, recorded, edited, and released like that, and I can keep changing views, and you can make dashboards. So I've made a dashboard where I have like all my tasks, like a text file with some extra like notes and reminders of things to do, and then like a box for people I need to contact back and stuff like that, so I can all see it in one space. And it's really
That's
helping
awesome.
like manage things. So,
Yeah, I have an
using
agent now
Notion.
for like all the freelance projects I do, so that's like been helpful as well to kind of have like that team kind of take care of like a lot of the the paperwork and stuff, because I had been doing that on my own when I initially started doing freelance
Yeah.
projects, which is very quickly overwhelming. That I could see if you're doing that alone, it would be very useful to have some kind of organizational system for all the NDAs or all the client decks or whatever, just to kind
Yeah.
of sort through that stuff.
Charan, by the way, my brother from an Indian mother, we're wearing the same shirts.
I know, I was gonna say that next. Okay, come on.
Oh my god. How
Yeah,
embarrassing.
that's
No, I'm
good.
joking.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's not the same color. Like yours is a little
Yeah.
bit darker. So
Yeah, it's kind of like
towards the brown.
the
Mine is towards the
burgundy.
reds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, right? I started using Notion. Like a friend introduced it to me,
yeah, Notion.
and I just started a product. Like I'm going to release a product mostly in a month from now on. It's going to be about, not going to spoil anything. It's going to be about materials, obviously, because that's what I specialize in. I'm working on it, but Notion actually helping me a lot because I basically I brainstormed all sort of shaders which can be possible and which I can include in the pack, and made all organize it so well that once I complete, I can just click it and I don't have to think about it. And then also documentation for it, and then finalizing. So I had 3 stages of it. So it's really helpful.
James, have you ever seen Notion?
I think I have, yeah. There's a couple of those. There's one I feel like a lot of YouTubers are recommending as well. That was like some kind of organizational thing. Yeah, I use Slack a lot for stuff. That's been
Oh,
nice to kind of
yeah.
organize things. You can kind of break things off into it's kind of like, I guess, Discord in a way, but just kind of having
Slack
things there
channel.
organized. Yeah.
It's like very common in like the professional context, because I remember like when I was doing
Yeah.
freelance work, a lot of them were using Slack. I guess that's its kind of market.
Oh yeah.
I like Discord's
Well,
better with like the voice chat stuff and the screen shares and stuff like that. I feel like Slack
yes.
doesn't really have that integrated yet. I was going to ask you guys about this. I've gotten a lot of people like requesting for a while since I've been making tutorials and stuff and on Instagram, whatever, to like make a Discord server to have like more of an interactive community. And I've liked seeing the communities that you guys have fostered in your own Discords, but just for me, like the idea of setting one up from the ground and just and moderating it and doing all that stuff on the back end, it seems very overwhelming.
Don't worry
I've
about
got a
that.
full-time job. I do freelance stuff. It's tough to
Well,
like think about like, oh wow, having
We are here,
run this stuff.
okay? We can take care of
I
it, like
happen
all
to
the back
know,
end stuff.
yeah, I happen to know a very viable moderation team that
Yes.
that are very good for managing Discord servers. Basically, it's a bit of a running joke as well. So my mod team for my mod server, for my server, are
Yeah.
also moderators for like almost every other like Blender
Every other
YouTuber
servers.
server.
Okay.
So yeah, I would
It's like they are moderators for BlenderNest other channel, the community server.
Yeah.
Few of them.
Render Rides, Ducky, and a bunch of
Uh,
others. Ben,
and also mine,
yeah, yours, and
Ben's, and also
yeah.
Pixel 3D.
So really, the main things you need to think about are just moderation settings, role setups for like and when people come in, like what do you want them to be able to see and like type and stuff like that, and bots as well, because it's very useful having bots on the servers to clean up any bad words or bad links and stuff like
Right.
that.
I figured there's always
Yeah.
trolls and stuff that come in.
The
I did a live
curtain
stream last
server
week for
is
the first time. There was someone like commenting weird things, and there would have been like useful to kind of have that
really?
kind
Yeah.
of stuff scrubbed away.
What kind of weird stuff? Just like
Someone was like asking or trying to solicit payments on like a GoFundMe or something like that.
Oh, right.
Throughout it was like asking for
yeah.
something. I was like, I mean, I
You
didn't
can just
comment on it. I
block
just kind of
them.
ignored it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that where it's like I don't know, it kind of detracts from the because everyone else is like asking questions or engaging and it's a fun time like when people are actively participating, but when you have like one person, it just like kind of can ruin it. But if you just kind of move past it or don't really give any kind of credence to it, it's just so you can kind of breeze past it and kind of keep the conversation on point.
Discord's quite easy to moderate, and there's also server-wide moderation settings where you can restrict who can type things based on these global settings. Like if you have it on the highest setting, everyone has to have like a mobile number attached to their account, like to make them verified so they can type. So that's like the highest possible moderation setting. Where it's like if you I usually turn that on when there's like bot attacks that have happened on other servers, and I'm like, okay, well for like a week or something we'll just put it on the highest setting just so we don't have like bots come in, and then you can tone it down so you don't have to have like a mobile number, and it's like they have to wait 10 minutes after joining the server before they can type something. So like you have all these choices, so you can like kind of move it down like levels if you kind of feel like doing that.
Yeah.
Bot attacks and stuff aren't like super common. It's something that bots could quite easily take care of, but
how often does it happen to your Curtis?
it probably happens like once a week or something, or twice a week, but that's because my server's now getting a bit older, and I think the things that are happening on my server is like where people are putting like nitro scams in the channels. I think it's because old accounts on my server, their accounts have been hacked, and then they're posting stuff. Now you can get bots to automatically deal with that, so as soon as they're posted, they're gone like immediately. But I don't have like all those settings set up for mine, so we just like we see someone put in a link and we just like right click ban, and that's it. It's just all gone.
Okay.
And when you ban someone as well, Discord gives you an option that says remove all messages from like the last 24 hours or like all time as well. So if you ban someone, you can make sure all their messages are just instantly gone. Like so,
oh wow, okay, cool.
So you don't need to go back and delete things manually.
In mine and Aaron's server, it only happened once.
Yeah, it's like it's not.
It's a brag, okay?
Nice. He's got it down pat, tightened up.
Yeah.
I mean, people are really nice in our server, though.
I personally would really want to set one up just because it's tough for me to personally respond to DMs on Instagram. It'd be nice to have like people who are assisting with kind of keeping the community going and just opening up discussions about different things. And My community, it's interesting. It kind of differs from platform to platform. So on YouTube, I've got people who are obviously very much interested in learning the software, learning my approach to stuff. But on Instagram, it's a really interesting split of people who are kind of into my work. Obviously, it's people who are into it for Blender, for 3D stuff like that. But then there's a large faction who are just interested in design in general, architecture, interior design type stuff like that. And it would be cool to kind of engage those conversations more, even like a subreddit like Cozy Places, to kind of have a channel of that sort in my Discord where people can just ask general design questions and kind of solicit advice when they're trying to decorate their own homes or get products for cheaper or do like IKEA hacks to get stuff for their apartment or their space on a budget. But then also have that 3D section too, so people are interested on the technical side of things to kind of have that. And so I've been kind of slowly trying to gauge people's interest in having a community like that, because it does feel like everyone has a Discord and there's so many different things. And I myself, I feel like I'm bad with responding to stuff on Discords because there's just so many different communities, and I always get spread between things. I end up muting notifications for stuff just because there's a constant spam. So I worry about that happening too, and I worry about people just thinking, oh, it's just another community. I'm just going to join it for like a day, be active, and then peel off it. And, that will be it. So I want it to be like very purposeful.
Yeah, I think you can definitely like do all those different things and create different channels for each of those different interests and stuff. And I think people will join it and people will talk on it. It doesn't really matter like how active a Discord server is, because people know where to go like for that content, because you have your own identity with your own artwork and stuff as well. And like if people like your artwork and they want to learn more about you, then they'll go and ask questions on there and they want to share their work. And yeah, it's like there's no expiry date for like a Discord server either. People don't really pay attention to, like people haven't messaged on here for like the last 5 months or something. No, like they'll go on it and they'll just interact. It's definitely worthwhile. And we find that with our servers as well, there's a lot of overlap. So there are people active on my server that are active in like 4 other like YouTubers servers. They don't tend to stick to just one a lot of the time. Like, and each server somehow has managed to create its own identity. Like my server has a very different identity to Erindale's, even though we share like so many people. Like
almost 30% for sure.
Yeah. So like people will be like hanging out in Erin's server, and then like a little while later they'll come out and hang out in mine just for like a different vibe, So it's interesting.
It's like there's like what are they called? There's a bar here in DC called Levels, and every floor is like a different like year. It's like the 70s themed or 80s themed. It's kind of like that. You're kind of going into like different lounges, and it's like here we're talking about Sphere Shock nodes or whatever, and now over here we're gonna go talk about Unreal Engine, and it's like a different feel, different aesthetic to it, with the backdrop of whatever that person's personality is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because in Erin's it's a bit more public with the voice channels in Erin's. And like they're running a bunch of like the challenges to Blender Royale and all the procedure. Mine's a bit more private in the voice channels, just to keep things like nice and chill. So for the people that have access to that, sometimes they'll pop in and just like I can tell it's just all a bit more mellowed down. So it's like like the end of day. I was just getting up to this today, and like let's just have a little little chat about something.
At least it's more like there's no much talking there. It's just hanging out. We are just here, just working our own things, just chilling.
Yeah,
and if you have something to say, we'll just just talk.
It's like sitting in the garden with a beer or something with some mates, and that's kind of
I really like that. That it's such a different way. So I try to do live streams and stuff on Instagram or on YouTube and stuff to kind of engage with audience, but it'd be so much cooler to do it that way in such a more informal setting. Even just kind of chatting, make it more communal too, so more people can kind of participate in the conversation. It's just very intimidating, like looking at the setup of that, on the back end. So I might talk to you guys offline about this and kind of getting stuff up and running.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll definitely help out. It is interesting. I do have a public voice channel in my server as well. We've got like different levels of privatization. So there's like one which everyone can go into, and then like it kind of like goes down the list, and then there's like some secret ones which are just for moderators. There's one, I'll reveal it. There's one called the Volvo. And the idea being that if we need to discuss something internally, we all just sit inside the Volvo, talk about something, and then like leave.
No one knows.
But so the public one is called the Planetarium, and I go in there when I'm feeling energetic enough to talk to like new people. And we hang out in there, and then new people do come along, and it's always interesting because they're like, oh wow, like I didn't know that you interact like with your community. Oh well, like it's really interesting talking to you.
Robot.
And it's like it feels a bit weird because it's like, oh yeah, like this is like a special occasion for them, but for me it's like I'm in here all the time. Like this is just a chill space, and it's like like kind of like yeah, like oh this like I really appreciate that you like the content, yeah. So yeah, let's just chill, like let's just talk about stuff, and it's like a really
Oh my god.
yeah, it's
I
really
remember the
interesting.
first day when I spoke to you, Curtis. Like I was just fanboying, okay. I mean, the same day CG Metro also joined, so I was just jumping around.
Oh yeah.
Things changed.
Yeah,
Now
would
we
you
hang
ever
out all
expect
the
that we'd be
time.
talking so much?
Now you realize he's just another person. All celebrities, everyone's just people at the end of the day. Everyone's just
Yeah.
human. Right?
Exactly. Imagine like me having a chill conversation with one of my favorite celebrities, and a few days later
Yeah.
we'll be like, we're just chill buddies, dude.
Yeah, I remember the first message. You were like, "Oh, I'm doing like a presentation for like my school and stuff," and you wanted some
Oh
advice.
yeah, you remember? Nice, that's
Yeah.
good.
I was like, "Yeah, I've got some time. Let me give him some advice."
Nice.
I mean, generally he doesn't text anyone, you know, if they just say hi or hey.
Yeah, I'm really
Most
bad.
of the people will start the conversation with that. Somehow I knew it, or else, you know, I thought the first message, right? It has to be very impactful so that he will reply me or something.
James, you must get loads of messages on Instagram, right? And like loads of the message.
Oh, do I?
requests.
No. Yeah. Every day, spams, hundreds. Crazy.
But like, do you respond to all of like your message requests, or do you have like a kind of policy behind responding?
I try my best, honestly. What I'll do usually is like one day a week, I'll take like, an hour or something to kind of just go through and reply to as many as possible. But then the issue is as I'm replying to stuff, people are like replying to like the response I got. So it's just like, it's putting papers back onto the stack. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got, okay, so let me try to engage with them a little bit more now. I don't want it to be a chore though. That's the thing. It's like I do really appreciate people's support, and I want people to know that. And I try my best to respond. I guess the way I have approached it more recently is instead of responding individually to messages, I'll just jump on a live stream. When I've kind of got like a serious backlog of people asking questions or just wanting to talk about stuff, and then they can ask their questions there, and I'm there to be able to just kind of respond to it globally. And so people can kind of just hear that response kind of on a larger scale. So it's not like by person, there's kind of just like a shotgun approach, I guess.
Maybe you should have like this Q&A highlight.
I've got like some popular questions or whatever up at the top of my Instagram. I should probably update it because I think it's a little bit outdated, but every so often I'll do like a Q&A and I'll just pin some of those questions on my like highlights or whatever they call it for Instagram at the top.
Yeah.
And once in a while, just say you can just go check this highlight for if you have any questions about anything.
Yeah. Because people ask me like about my computer every single day. That's a question I get like a dozen times a day. It's like, what are your computer specs? Or like another one I get very, very frequently is like, where do you find this place? Like, how did you like get access to like take pictures at this location? Or like, that's the one that's always really funny to get. Cause I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It's not a real place. Really sorry. I wish it was. It's not real.
Okay. Oh, you mean that?
Or I got a message this past week. Someone's like, "You're traveling around so much. How are you like in Morocco this past week, and then you're in like Mexico, and then you're in DC again? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, how do you do it, man?
Like, you must feel so good while listening.
Yeah. I save so much money too. Like, I'm not spending any money on travel. I'm able to just travel from the comfort of my own space right here to.
Got my Blender passport right here.
Yeah, that's right. The Blender passport.
That it's free.
Opens up the world.
A free passport.
Free passport.
You don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't believe that.
With the
no crowds as well. It's just all. If you want a crowd sim, you can do that. But
what you were saying about like responding and then having people respond back immediately, that's something that I hate. Like well, I don't hate it, but it's like really frustrating because like I'll finally respond to some like, oh yes, I finally got around to it, and then like they immediately message back, and then
you see the chat bubble come up, you're like, oh no.
And then I don't know if I've got like the message receipts on, but so they can see that I've read it now, and I'm like, oh god, if I don't respond now they'll think I'm ignoring them. So
the worst was Instagram rolled out this feature, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, which you had to like turn off instead of turn on. It was like showed when you were last online, and so like people could see like James is last on like 11 minutes ago, and like I hadn't responded to their message, and someone's like, I could see you're online, and like you're not. I'm like, oh my god, what? And I think like Snapchat did the same thing where they like opted you into like the Snapchat map so people could see like where you are and like the last time you checked in on your phone. It's like that's a little. And Reddit did the same thing too. Reddit automatically like shows when you're online, so you have to turn that off. It's like why do we have to opt out of this instead of opting into like the privacy stuff? It's like I don't want people to know when I'm checking my messages or running on my phone.
Yeah, but I don't know how often I'm ignoring them. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. They're looking at it in a sinister way like that. Yeah, but no, but honestly, like we are busy people. Everyone here is busy with their work. It's tough to get around, and it's not like we don't want to respond to people. It's like, it does get it is a lot. So
definitely, yeah. I don't respond to, just as a general rule of thumb, if someone says hi, don't respond to it. If it's just hi,
yeah,
like, that's a rule I have. Just hi or hey or like, how's it going? Because I'm like, if you want
Hey,
something,
bro.
just
yeah.
say what you want straight away. Like but I got an interesting one the other day on Discord, and I think Charan will remember this one. Someone pinged me from, I think it was Pixo's server, and then I got like 2 or 3 more direct message pings, and then they were saying like, hey, and I was like, okay, I'll respond to this one. I was like, I said to him, 4 pings and I still don't know what you want. How's it going, man? And they said, first, shut up. And I was like, okay, block them immediately. So
they said that's you?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah.
That is wow.
So I was like, right, block. I was like, you can't ping me 4
That's
times.
crazy. Wow. Jeez, you finally get your response. That's unfortunate. There's always gonna be like at least one person who's annoying with what we're doing. It's obviously very public facing, so you put yourself out there, and I've gotten better with this. Like I think when I first started my job, at NASA in particular, we get so many conspiracy theory comments on our videos. I work a lot with moon related stuff in particular, and everyone doesn't think the moon's real. And so we get like a lot of weird messages. So I've kind of gotten like, I guess, thicker skin, to that, which is important obviously for the work we do, because you obviously will get a lot of hate on different things. But yeah, it's tough because you can get like 100 positive comments. I'm sure you guys experience with your videos, and then one person's like, "This tutorial helped me with nothing. You're terrible," and that's what will stick with you. And it's tough because you did get like all this positive feedback, and you want to focus on that, but there is always like it just takes one to kind of bring down the ship. So it's gotten, I feel like I personally have gotten like a lot better with kind of handling that and kind of just fixating on the positive, or just even just just closing down the internet, just kind of focusing on my projects. I feel like the more I just focus on the artwork as opposed to the technical side of things, the brand building, the I don't know, just the community or the feedback or whatever, the happier I am. And I've noticed the more successful I am with stuff too, in particular with Instagram and YouTube. I feel like my growth has been better when I don't think about the numbers, when I just kind of shut down the analytics, and I don't like navel gaze. I don't fixate on like dislike ratio or whatever, or I don't know, time people are spending on the video or stuff like that, and just fixate on like, I just make stuff that I like doing, and if people like it, hey, that's great. If not,
like, I understand that like so well, because I think about it like all day, every day, like with the analytics and that. But I think my happiest with releasing videos on my YouTube channel when, I don't know if it was a bug, but YouTube stopped showing the average graph when you publish a video.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't see how it compared to your average, and so it didn't say whether it was above or below for like a little while. I was like, hey, this feels good, because all I'm seeing is just like views going up with like no comparison whatsoever. I was like, okay, that's fine. I hope it stays that way. But it didn't. The average graph came back. And I'm like, well, I know that technically I could just not click on the video analytics, but that's actually surprisingly difficult. Like, not to do.
It gnaws away at you.
Yeah, so like I need to get better at like just not caring so much about that.
And it's so much easier said than done. It's like, oh, just don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about the feedback, whatever. But it's like, unfortunately, that's a part of being successful, is making sure that you're catering to what people want to engage with, and making content that's polished and helpful. Obviously, want it to be helpful, especially for tutorials. But it's tough because you always have that in the back of your mind, is the feedback from people, and kind of catering to that, but also like maintain your own personal happiness and stuff. And so it's tough though. It's easier said than done, I feel like, to kind of pass that off.
Yeah, luckily I always keep bringing this up with Curtis. I never got a single hate comment so far, which is
nice.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. And I don't have the tough skin yet. I'm just trying to trying to make myself hard for that, but obviously I have to face it first.
quick recommendation: if you want a trial by fire, just post one of your videos or one of your artwork on Reddit, and you'll immediately get some very harsh feedback. And I actually appreciate that. I almost always will post my artwork on Reddit before I post it on Instagram, because people point out flaws or mistakes in it. I'll be like, oh, that's a really good point. Let me fix that in the render. Like someone will be like, the lighting looks weird in this thing, or like there's some weird harsh shadow. What is that? And I'm like, oh, that shadow is this. Okay, let me fix that in my render, and I'll go back and do that. It's actually helpful. I really like the brutal, honest feedback at times, to a certain extent. If it's like a personal attack, like Curtis, you're just saying someone's like telling you to shut up. Like
what I'm trying to say is,
yeah,
sometimes I might work so hard on this one, like like this is this is my best work so far, and I know what can be improved. I don't need any feedback.
Right. You just want it to
just
sit
post.
there.
Yeah.
And that's great too. You can just let that sit.
Exactly. Sometimes.
Charan knows if he needs feedback, he comes to me because I can say it in a nice way.
Nice. That's good. It's good to have someone who does that. Yeah, I've got that with some of my coworkers too. Like I know that they're going to give me really good feedback. It's going to be, brutal at times, but it's going to be, very, very well catered. It's good to have someone who can give you feedback like that.
The thing is, with Curtis, right? I send every stage of my progress and I ask for feedback, and he's always helpful with every single thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes he might say, he might be busy, but then he'll come back and he'll give me the proper feedback.
Yeah.
At every stage.
Sometimes, because like, I'm really passionate about this, right? So I've spoken about this on my second channel. I really, really love making discussion videos, right? And I've always liked doing it on my main channel, but oh my god, the algorithm hates it, and like people don't watch them. So I'm doing all that on my second channle now, and it's like really fun. It's like a really fun outlet for doing that kind of thing. But I think I've talked about this before, but there's a really important knack for like giving feedback for people. First of all, I never give feedback to people in terms of like critique for artwork unless they ask for it.
Yeah.
So I never just
I think that's important.
Yeah, I never go ahead and just like start critiquing people.
Unsolicited
feedback. That's on your main channel.
I think that one's on the main channel. That was like an early Hulk one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so this is something that I really hate when I see people in communities when like they just do it when people haven't asked for it. And it's just like, come on, like you're leaning in a bit too hard here. And even if you're giving critique, there are nice ways to word stuff, right? And like
that's the key.
So people say stuff like, "Oh, it's shit," and I'm like, what do you
can't do much with that? It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Like, if you're gonna give critique,
you should have a good day.
You gotta give useful information, right? And shit is not useful. Also, there's a massive difference between like subjective and objective critique, right? Because if it's something like a color choice, like I suppose it can be
everyone has
like,
different aesthetic.
Yeah, like you might have like a personal preference, and I think people need to be careful not to like just impose their preference and say, oh, you shouldn't use this, you should use this because it's better. It's like, well, you got to think objectively about that, So
it's like saying,
very careful with it.
Why do you use this particular modifier instead of just extruding it? I mean, it's
sometimes easier for someone, or you have a kind of a cut and dry way. I've got a kind of crazy story with that. It's somewhat 3D related, I guess. So like I've been spending a lot of time designing my space here, making it cozy since I work from home like 99% of the time. And I posted a picture of my desk setup here to the subreddit r/cozy places. And it blew up. It got, I think, like last I checked, like close to like 30,000 upvotes or something like that.
Wow.
A lot of comments, a lot of people obviously enjoying it. Man, I had a strong contingent of people telling me to like throw my chair away. I've got like a gaming chair, right? It's like, I mean, it's whatever. It's comfortable. It's lasted me for like 3 years now with no wear and tear and stuff. I feel like my posture is fine. I've got a standing desk if I need to stand up. Usually like every half hour or so, like I'll change to a standing position. But man, you had these like armchair experts like telling me like, this is the chair you need. Otherwise you're not doing life right, like, or people were commenting on like, I don't know, the monitor I had, they're like, you need this different thing, or it was just like crazy. It's like, okay, well, I'm enjoying the space personally. Hey, like I like it. If you could do whatever you want with your space, I didn't need feedback on this setup. It's like, it was crazy. I thought it was hilarious. Some of the comments, there's this one, I saved it as like a copy pasta to use in future reference. I gotta pull this thing up. Let me see if I can find it. It is like one of the most nuts messages I think I've ever gotten. So on a post of my desk, programmer with 35 years experience and 2 cervical disc replacements here. So already an amazing setup. Love the specification of that. Just great. Please get a proper desk assessment. Your extended keyboard will force your right arm out too far, potentially causing neck issues. Your monitors are not centered, meaning you'll be twisting your neck mostly to the left. Your lighting is inadequate. Get your PC off your desk. It's a workspace, not an art installation. It looks like your chair arms can't slide under the desk, meaning you won't be in the right position. All of our chairs have no arms.
Oh my god.
It's like sometimes people just need to go outside and just touch some grass. Just like go out and just see it, experience nature. Just take a breath. Just relax.
I love
step back. I worry about this gentleman. 2 cervical disc replacements. That's no joke. I mean, I hope he's doing all right wherever he is. Sounds like he's having a tough time here.
Yeah, I think there's a certain number of people that are like, well, they've been through the experience, which means that they're obviously right about absolutely everything.
Oh yeah, of course. This guy's 100% right. Like nothing that he said there is wrong. But no, it's important to know.
But I like that you saved it as a copy pasta. Whenever I get a weird email, I save it into a folder called gold because it's just
yes, I do the same thing.
I've
got all these conspiracy NASA comments I've got saved out that are just like, if I'm ever having a bad day, I'll read them because it's hilarious. Objectively, like it's just someone went out of their way to post something that is just like, it's art. Honestly, there's an art to posting these crazy comments. I really think.
I've got a kind of death threat one that I read back every now and again. It's about like bats ripping out your guts while you sleep and stuff like that.
But wonderful!
It's like a really unhinged one, but it's just like no spaces, no grammar, just like a raw block of just weird.
There's some poetic way of killing too.
But this person has like a history. It's like a. But oh my god, I've been getting like so many NFT requests and stuff.
I get a ton of those as well. But I loved. I don't know if I had a chance to comment on this in person to you, but I think I commented in a Discord or through a private message or something. Your video, your discussion of NFTs, I thought was excellent for a number of reasons. I think like first of all, having that conversation is tough because you have a lot of people on Twitter or on Discord servers, bashing you immediately for making any kind of comment about it. But it's like, it's important to look at the faults of things and be able to comment on how things can be improved, especially if this is supposed to be the future of the digital art space, right? Obviously, there's going to be flaws with it. It's such a quick creation of it. It's exploded so fast. And, kind of making sure that it scales well with the community and serves the purpose that it needs is very important. But also your take on utility of it too, and kind of how it could be used. Like I liked your ArtStation discussion with it. I thought that was excellent. And just why even have the backing of certain cryptocurrencies like Ethereum on it when it could be more environmentally conscious to do it elsewhere. It's really cool. I think it's important to have those conversations, and I like the take on it. But yeah, I definitely like echo your sentiment with like having people one, steal your artwork. I've had people like follow my tutorials as you commented on your video and like post it as an NFT and like make sales with it. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know, people never learn manners. Like it's just like, it's not a good thing to do because it's like it's not your own work at the end of the day. Like you want to post something that you actually like made. There's just this kind of regurgitation, I feel like, with a lot of artwork that you see where there's obviously a lot of people really liking the generative stuff, which is great. It's cool that there's the software behind it, people working to kind of build really cool artwork that is made using a lot of cool technology. But it feels like I want to say lazy. I hesitate to say that word, but because there is obviously work that goes into it. But it does to a certain extent feel like a little bit lazy. It's like, come on, guys, like.
But by design, it's supposed to make the process easier.
That's the corners.
It's supposed to laserify the process.
So I have a lot greater appreciation of ones that people are making if they choose to make NFT artwork, because it's it's like you're spending a lot more effort on one piece and really making it as polished as it can be. Like for me, I really don't like the idea of releasing like massive collections of like generated work. For my own projects, that doesn't really work, to be honest. I like spending more time to just polish like one thing. I also resent the fact that people are calling it like NFT artist or giving themselves that label, because it's like, what's wrong with the label just being an artist, right? Like it's obviously, like I sell my work as prints on ArtStation. I sell my work, as like courses and stuff that people can follow. That doesn't make me like a course artist or an ArtStation artist. I'm just an artist, and that's just a platform. Like an NFT is just a platform to sell my work or to have my work be shared by other people. But at the end of the day, I'm an artist. I'm still a digital artist making stuff. So I feel like making it just for that one purpose is tough too as well. Like I like kind of the process of learning new things, of engaging myself, and learning new software, meeting new people. I think that's been the biggest thing I've gotten out of NFTs, as well is meeting new people, seeing their process, and kind of seeing a different approach that people take to making artwork. And
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my soapbox for that. It's tough to have this conversation. I think it was helpful that you started that conversation on your YouTube.
But I was just going to make a note about the NFT video. I was very worried about putting it out to start with for obvious reasons. I think it's probably the discussion video I've edited the most. I think I removed 6 extra whole minutes of talking.
We need the director's cut.
Yeah,
exactly. We need
Charan
it.
really wanted it. The I don't understand bit, which was about like what I don't really understand about the system, was a lot longer.
Yeah,
but I just thought that I needed to keep it a bit balanced. I had other points about the system, but I was like, okay, if it's too critical, it'll be perceived as an attack. And like I spent so long trying to make it as balanced as I could. So I sent it to like so many other YouTube creators. It's the first time I asked other YouTube creators for like their feedback on a video to say, okay, how do you perceive this? Because I was like, if people perceive something as an attack, they don't listen to it. So like, I tried to make it as balanced as I could. And I was really happy because pro NFT and like anti NFT people both shared the video. And I was like, okay, so that's achieved. That's good.
I think it's great. And again, I think it is important to be critical of stuff. Like I think, this just applies for anything in life, of politicians, of companies, of other artwork, of systems. It's important to be able to, critique things and make it better, right? And have that, open communication about stuff. Because if not, you're just going to keep banging your head against the wall doing the same thing over. If there's a better way to do something, a more cost-effective way, a more environmentally friendly way, or just a generally better way. I mean, everyone has a different perception of what better is, but like, having those discussions and being able to, reasonably talk through without screaming at each other into the void. I think Twitter, unfortunately, is a really bad platform because you're limited to like under 40 characters. So you get these like paragraph long threads of people just going in, and it's hard to respond to that because it's like just it's a short format. It's a strange format, and it's kind of an echo chamber in a lot of ways because you have one person kind of piling on, and it just kind of everyone just echoes that same sentiment as opposed to really, providing different insight into the topic.
One of the other main points about the video I wanted to get across was that I definitely don't have anything against like artists that are genuinely like doing the NFT stuff for the right reasons, because like who doesn't just want to make more artwork, just like for the and get rewarded for it. But it's just the very specific part of the culture that's developed like for the exploitative side of it, where it's like here's the money making potential, so let's try and build systems which can make money as fast as possible. That's where all the generative stuff comes in, and
which was inevitable. I feel like to have that happen. Everyone is looking for opportunities to make a quick buck. But there are a lot of people in the community on both the collector and artist side who I think are really invested in it for the right reasons. I think that's going to hopefully outlast a lot of people who are in it for a quick buck.
But the ArtStation thing is interesting because I just thought, I was surprised they didn't get more creative with their idea of implementation before just like jumping on the NFT train and then retracting it immediately. I just thought they are the people in a position to do something more creative because they have the art platform, So
and with a more professional curated perspective as well too. I mean, they have literally built their platform from like a curation perspective, like where people are putting like their best work on there. It's not like Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter or wherever, where you share a lot of works in progress. ArtStation is a consolidated way where you do have that attached to it, but at the head it's like your final project, and then you'll maybe have like the clay pass or something, and obviously notes or sketches of behind the scenes, and it's cool to be able to view that all in one place as well and experience that. And I like your suggestion of like having you basically buy real estate on like the For You page or like the trending page. Because at the end of the day, it is like, you want your work to be seen. As a collector, you want your collection to be seen by people. And that is it's a cool way to kind of do that, organically as well. I mean, that's like literally how the platform was constructed. So
it's
great.
It'll be interesting to see if they ever do anything like that, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see. But it's been like fantastic talking to you, James. Thanks for coming back on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been so long. I hope it's not this long between the next one. I'll try my best to jump on. Sometimes the weekends get a bit booked up, but I think I should be around next weekend. I'll have 2 new friends with me here as well, 2 new cats joining me in the space. So they'll be joining the podcast as well.
Yeah, when are you getting them again?
Sometime this week. I'm still trying to figure out the pickup date, but they are a brother-sister pair, 7-month-old. I'm going to be naming them Apollo and Artemis after the 2 missions I worked very closely with.
Awesome.
They have, let me show these on camera too. They got their like little space themed,
oh yes,
little collars.